Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan, the Motor City Madmouth, and tonight, Rick Curti is the co-host of this broadcast. And Rick, yes, you said hello? I'm saying hello back. How are you, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
All right, and of course, the other guy that will say hello, his name is Mike Brown. We just put him to work last week, and he gets to come back again tonight. Mike, how you doing? Give everybody a basic overview of what you're about, and we're going to see how many calories you burned over the weekend.
Well, I'm glad to be here with you guys talking sports, and it's a great time in Ohio. We have COVID-19 like everybody else does, but we're playing baseball, and I umpired 11 baseball games in 3 days, and it wore me out, and it was great fun.
Very good. Well, okay, now tonight you don't have to do any umpiring. We're going to talk about some of the baseball subjects today, and you're going to get your first orientation of the KBO, Korea Baseball Organization, and they're actually working to bring some fans back as early as July 3rd. So, Rick, chime in on the fact that the KBO is not a bad brand of baseball, is it?
No, I love watching the KBO. It's great. It's just like regular baseball, and you get to see some former Major League Baseball players. You got Chan Ho Park there, and we're talking about Matt Williams. Matt Williams was the great San Francisco Giants player, former manager of the Nationals. He's managing down there, so you got some names out there, and it's really cool. Even though it's empty, but I mean they're playing along, and it's a lot of fun. And if you love baseball, I advise very strongly to watch the KBO.
Yeah, well, it's empty for now, but July 3rd, they're planning to bring some fans back in there. So as Major League Baseball ramps up for their season, at least they've had an opportunity to scout a lot of different things of how the KBO has done things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've had very, very low cases of COVID-19 in South Korea. I mean, very, very low. They've done a really good job of really combating that. So, little by little to bring fans in, I think it's a smart idea as long as it's safe. And they've done everything to make it very safe there. You actually see like some of the coaches wearing face masks during the game. So, I mean, I think they're doing everything right at the KBO.
All right, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, one thought occurred to me today on Facebook. Someone posted a picture. It was Johnny Bench, and he was one of the first catchers to wear a helmet. And I remember that he got criticized for it, and the same as with hockey. A lot of times people can't remember, but they didn't play with anything, no masks, no helmets, and obviously that's crazy now. But we're going through a tough time, and it's really a controversial time. Everybody's not on the same page. And I don't think there's going to be a major league season. I think there's no way players can shuffle in and shuffle out and they can avoid spreading the disease. And every time, 4 players from the Red Sox or the Marlins or wherever, they're going to come down with the virus. And regardless of how severe it is for them, they can spread it to other people. And I really fear for the season. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, well, that's fair. I mean, obviously we're reporting in Florida last week. The numbers here were over 9,500. Today was a mere 8,500. And, of course, now I see the second wave of COVID-19 coming up real soon. And on one of my earlier broadcasts today with Rudy Reyes, Motorman and Root Dog Show, one of the topics that we talked about was there have been over 500,000 fatalities worldwide, and let me tell you, that's only 90 days into this thing, so you can only imagine what that number continues to rise to later on. So there's no question that people better start having their masks up or they're going to find themselves laying down. But all right, well, on to the next subject. Okay, Atlanta Braves third base coach Ron Washington expects to wear a mask all the time during the season. All right, Mike Brown, is this a good move by Ron Washington?
Yes, it's a good move. It's a controversial move, but it's good because, for instance, I was doing a presentation in February just as this whole thing was starting to develop, and the sunlight was coming in the room, and you could see everything, and including the dust, but particularly when a person sneezed, and it was incredible, 25 feet out, these droplets of moisture. And I'm not a doctor, and I don't pretend to be a doctor, but it's a good move to wear a mask all the time.
Rick?
I agree. I mean, I hope all coaches wear masks. I mean, this is just a no-brainer, common sense thing, and I have no idea why we're so divided on it. I don't know why people are making such a political statement about it, and people are just refusing to wear one because they feel like their rights are being violated. I mean, it's crazy. And so I hope that other coaches and even players wear a mask, because, I mean, it's just so contagious, this thing, and there's still a lot of it that we don't know about. That's what makes it scary. So I give a big thumbs up to Ron Washington for wearing a mask.
All right, well, tell you one person no one have to worry about this season this year is Pittsburgh Pirates reliever Edgar Santana has been suspended for 80 games after testing positive for the PED Boldenone MLB announced. Now, he's going to miss the 2020 campaign. The question is they're unclear if the ban will carry over into 2021. All right, Mike Brown, what's your take on this?
Well, performance-enhancing drugs have been a big part of my career covering baseball. When I was in Cooperstown in 1980, we've never heard of PED or any of that stuff. But then Roger Clemens came around, and Mark McGuire, and Sammy Sosa, and it always comes back to drugs enhancement. And I say it makes a big difference. And I think the people who took those drugs should be penalized. And I know it's a harsh view, but that's what I'm sticking with.
Fair enough. Okay, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he's a cheater. That's what you're doing. You're cheating. You're not taking steroids to for vitamins. You're taking it to cheat, to get better. And if you get better and you hit more home runs and you have a great year, guess what happens? You get you can get like your contract negotiated, you can make more money, get more years, and it's cheating, and it's like corking your bat or like a spitball or anything else. So I mean, if we need to get rid of people in baseball who are doing these PEDs, and if he does it again, he should be banned for life. I mean, it's just total cheating. It's total fraudulent what he's doing.
Well, Mike, the fact that you lived in Cooperstown, you said about 40 years ago, and we all know that Cooperstown frowns on PEDs, and they're not going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's known with the Baseball Writers Association of America. So let's face the reality. I mean, the numbers are what they are. I don't see any asterisks because everybody benefited, but there won't be an asterisk when they don't make it to the glory halls of the Baseball Hall of Fame for sure. So. So should the question I have to you guys is, should this ban carry into 2021, knowing that technically, 60 games wipes out the season, and you normally have 162 games? Because I believe that A.J. Hinch was suspended, for the Astros for the whole year, and he's only going to get, exactly the season. So had there been no season, these guys still don't get paid for the year. So you see where that gray area is, guys, where, you're getting suspended for 2020, whether it's 60 games or whatever, or the 162. A season is a season, no matter how it's like. So, Mike, what are your thoughts? Should this ban carry over into 2021 with 20 games to go?
Yes, with Alex Cora at Fenway Park in Boston, it's the same thing there. If they don't have a season, he's eligible to come back as a manager, and I don't see that as right. I think the whole cheating scandal got washed out by the COVID-19, and the cheating scandal is the same as PEDs and steroids. It's cheating, and I think they should be held accountable for it.
Rick?
Yeah, I mean, it's just not right just because there's not going to be a season. I mean, you're going to be suspended for the whole season. So we're not going to have a season this year, so of course you should carry for 2021. It's just like when a pitcher gets gets suspended for 7 games, they count the 7 games, they should count the 7 starts. So there's always that gray area, like you said. So it should start. His penalty should be 2021 because he didn't have a season. So how can he be suspended for the whole season if you have no season? So it definitely should carry for 2021, because if it doesn't, I mean, he's just not going to learn his lesson. He's like, look at me, I got suspended, but we had no season, and now I'm back. So technically, he wasn't really suspended. So, I mean, it's just not right. So it should be for 2021, absolutely.
Right. I tell you what, you bring up a couple of interesting points there, Rick. I do believe you that I have a gut feeling there won't be an MLB season. although, they're certainly going to give it their best shot. Nobody knows. I mean, that's what they're targeting for. But I think every penalty that exists right now should definitely carry over into 2021. So I have a gut feeling you're right. There won't be a season, but we won't know that until they fully announce it. Right now, they're talking about the 60 games. And the question is whether they have a season or how far you go until this thing gets ugly remains a different animal. Speaking of that, guys, MLB and MLBPA are still at odds on player vesting options and bonuses. So with that said, Mike Brown, what are your thoughts? Is this thing going to become a little bit more difficult than we think it is, or everything's still going to start on time? Is there any legal repercussions? Go ahead, Mike, you lead it off on this.
Yes, well, the two of us, guests and we sound pretty conservative, don't we? We're like old crusty old men, but we're not. We're young guys. And we're just trying to deal with things straight up. And I think the idea of bonuses, I actually thought about that when I was umpiring Sunday afternoon, and it's my fourth game of the day, and it was hot, and I was thinking I get $55 for this. And I obviously not going to get a bonus, but just goes to show you, it just things are so strange. How can Mike Trout? I love the guy, but he makes $25 or $30 million a season, and the point is, there's things that are out of balance. I'm not saying that they get too many bonuses, but I think things could be more on incentives, and they could be more on performance than rather than a bonus kind of thing.
That makes sense, Rick.
I mean, their bonus is that they're multimillionaires playing a game. That should be their bonus, And this season, I mean, these guys make a golly amount of money, and that's just their salary, and it's guaranteed. So if they break their legs, they're going to get paid no matter what. It's not like football, and that's not talking about the commercials they do and like the endorsements they get, and doing Gatorade or doing like a car dealership commercial in their hometown. So to me, their bonus is that you're making. I don't want to hear a baseball player complain that they're only making $3-4 million this year, while everyone here is struggling and people can't even afford to pay their rent because their jobs are closed down because of this horrible virus. So. Major League Baseball, they just need to just get away from it. They've already damaged themselves, and they couldn't agree. And, now they're going to try to have a season. But, I mean, to me, their bonus is that you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game.
Yeah, that almost reminds me.
Yeah. He sounds so conservative, doesn't he?
Who, Rick? No, it's okay. Rick is being, I'll take this out of the conservative mode for a moment, all right, and that being this. Once upon a time, a basketball player by the name of Latrell Sprewell, who at that time played with the Minnesota Timberwolves, said he didn't make enough money to support his family. Well, mark my word, after he made those comments, his stay in the NBA was very short-lived. So, for all those individuals...
I remember Terry Pendleton during the '94 strike, and I love Terry Pendleton. But when he went on the air and said, I'm only making $6-7 million a year, and you're just like, okay, you're an idiot, bye. So, I mean, people don't want to hear that. I mean, they're making like the top 1% of what the average people are making. We don't want to hear millionaires and billionaires complain that they're not getting all their money and all that stuff. So you're making $3 million a year instead of $20 million or $15 million. We are not going to feel sorry for you.
That's true.
I know in the umpire's bunkhouse in Cooperstown, we many times laid awake. It was either too cold or too hot in the bunkhouse, and we talked about those major leaguers and Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. There's some of the alumni of the park there in Cooperstown who played as 12-year-olds, and we said to ourselves, we're all 50, 60, 70 years old, and we wondered if they thought about it when they were laying in those bunks in Cooperstown, but that they'd be making $25 or $30 million a year. I don't think they did. I don't think they thought that. I really don't.
Fair enough. Okay, next, Minnesota Twins are taking health precautions and won't allow two coaches in their 60s to work. My goodness, guys! I wonder where we've heard this hack before. In the NBA, they had to go out there and deal with this issue as well with Rick Carlisle saying, that act isn't going to fly. So
yeah.
So go ahead. Is it age discrimination, or do you think that the Minnesota Twins have a valid case?
No, I think it is age discrimination. I tell you what, I'm 65, and I'm twice as umpire as I was 10 years ago. It's as simple as that. And umpiring is a physically demanding sport, and I'm twice as good as I was when I was 60, when I was 55, when I was 40. So a lot of things, a lot of jobs, experience comes with it. I would think coaching a basketball team, it's no whether if you can physically handle it. I say, why not? They should be able to do it.
Rick?
I mean, this is just idiocy. What have we not learned during these months? When this thing first came, everybody said it was going to attack people who were elderly or people who were sick. Well, guess who it's attacking now? It's attacking young people. It's attacking people my age. I'm 44, and it's attacking people like 18 to 35. This thing doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're old, young, sick, healthy. It doesn't care. They've had children that have died from this. An 18-year-old cheerleader in Texas died from COVID-19. So this is just, to me, just ignorance on their part, and for them to say that elderly people are to me it's just discrimination, and it's stupidity.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I take that personal because I'm 65 and I'm going to live to be 100. And I have a doctor guaranteed that, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, at 65 years old, I can do everything that I could do. I can still play basketball. I can still play anything. And, they always say about, the 50 is a new 70 and 70 is a new 80 and all that stuff. And it's all a matter of mindset. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, though. A lot of sports are confronted with the question about anybody in their 60s. I know the NBA's been a hot topic for it. I know Greg Popovich, Alvin Gentry, to name a couple, are in that category. But now you're right, Rick. I mean, now the numbers are starting to actually tilt toward the younger generation. But much of that is not only ignorance, but they don't have their face mask on. And in fact, in the city of Miami or Miami Beach, if you do not go ahead and wear a mask, they can fine you up to $500. $500 for not putting a mask. Now, let's talk about the mask mandate. All right, back in my home state, in Michigan, the seatbelt law was introduced. Michigan had it, and now, so if we aren't going to protect ourselves, okay, then it seems like the government's going to force us to do it. Florida Clean Air Act as well. No smoking in restaurants. And, so we're going to have to protect ourselves, or the government's going to force us to do it. Because how do you go into bars and 16 people go in there and then 16 people get COVID-19? That's outright stupid and a lack of common sense. But back to the 60s question again. Do you feel, Mike, that this is age discrimination?
Yes, I do. There's people out there. How old is the president of the United States right now? Okay, how old is the next president of the United States going to be? Age is just a number. People who are 50, 60, 70 years old can be very vibrant and can pack a lot of punch. So I don't buy this idea that you're 60 years old, you got to get out of the game or get out of anything. I don't buy that at all.
All right, well, let's talk about a team that's north of the border, the Toronto Blue Jays. They're actually preparing to leave Florida, Dunedin, Florida, to train at the Rogers Center. Well, obviously, they're the only team in Canada. So what are your thoughts, Mike, about this? You said you like Montreal, although I won't say my buddy Mark Littell cares about it. As Rick found out, Mark Littell had some pretty outspoken thoughts, and he won't get a standing ovation there. But what are your thoughts about the Blue Jays going back to Canada to begin training at the Rogers Center? When I was there, it was called the Sky Dome. It's a beautiful building, too, with a hotel inside of it.
Yeah. Toronto has always been close to me. My father lives in Dunedin, Florida, and I go to Dunedin games every year. And when I was a reporter, I'd go down there and I'd cover them. And, Jesse Barfield and all the guys. It was seemingly a great time to have baseball. I have good friends who live in Toronto who are umpires. We were living in Cooperstown last year, and we talk all the time. And it's a great place to live. They unfortunately, the government there, they won't allow any Canadians to come south of the border. I mean, people haven't talked about that, but that's real extreme. Because they're saying it's so thick in the United States, COVID-19, that they don't want people coming down south. So it's problematic. But in a way, you got to say it's a good thing. So the people of Toronto, they just embrace baseball. They've embraced basketball. It's a great place to be. It's expensive. I know I see it a lot of times, and I go fishing in Lake Ontario, and we look across, and you can see 16 miles across, you can see this big Space Needle there. And it's a really great city to be. And I like Montreal very much, too, and I think you're going to see baseball in Montreal again, too.
Yeah, I've been to Toronto many times. I just love the place. I do. I've been to the old Hockey Hall of Fame at some point, and I've been to Blue Jays games over at the old Exhibition Stadium, and then followed it up with one over at the Sky Dome at the time, and I've been to the Toronto Maple Leafs over at the old Maple Leaf Garden. So, yeah, it's certainly one of the better cities in the country. So, but what about the logistical challenges, Mike, about the Blue Jays coming south to play games? Do you have any idea about whether that's going to be a bit of a problem, or do you think that the Canadian government is handling it in such a way where it's not a logistical headache?
I don't know. Logistically, it's a lot because it's funny. Toronto seems so close, but it's so far away. I'm in Ohio. It just seems like it's more than a foreign country. It just seems so far away. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, go ahead, Rick. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be. I mean, I'm surprised that it took them this long to go back to Toronto, because their cases have dropped significantly in Canada with COVID-19. So I think that's a smart move for them to play in Toronto. But yeah, the government, that's going to be an issue, because I mean, how are they going to like the Blue Jays are going to travel to Florida or travel to Seattle? Seattle and Canada are right there. That's going to be an issue, and we've had so much high cases of it. Every other country's dropped big time, even Italy, but here in the United States has gone up, and deaths have gone up, and everything. So that's going to be the problem with the traveling, and that's one of the reasons why I'm saying that there's just not going to be a Major League Baseball season, because you're going to get players who don't want to play, and you're going to get the traveling issues, especially in Canada. So because their government are going to allow it, there's no way.
Yeah, I actually thought that the Blue Jays were going to, and this would probably go to Buffalo, since it's only 45 minutes away. So that I thought would have been a possibility. I don't know if it was ever discussed, but when you put things in perspective, it made the most sense based on proximity. Well, Rick, you led into what my next point was, so now we're going to talk about it, about the players that won't commit to play. Washington Nationals first baseman Ryan Zimmerman and pitcher Joe Ross will sit out the 2020 MLB season because of the COVID-19. Well, Rick, I'll lead off with you. Is this a trend?
Oh, absolutely. Mike Leake of the Arizona Diamondbacks, he's not going to play either. So you're going to hear many, many players that are not going to play. And so this is not a big surprise at all. And so, Major League Baseball's got another problem on their hands. And, their next big issue is Bryce Harper going to do the same? Is Mike Trout going to do the same? Are the Yankees going to say, we're not going to play this season, it's not worth it? That's going to be a major headache. So you're going to see more players. Like I said, they're multimillionaires. They can take a couple years off. They don't have to work. They can take a year off or whatever. They're going to be with their family, and they're not going to risk their lives playing 60 games, and put themselves at risk with all the traveling. So they're just I'm going to take the whole year off. I'm rich. I'm going to be with my family and be safe. I'd do the same thing if I was them. So this is just the start of it.
Yeah, and I think another thing I should point out, too, the way the rosters are going to look. Well, you see a lot more younger prospects play instead of the big names, because I have a feeling you're right, Rick, that the big names could very well drop out. That makes a whole lot of sense. Mike, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I can see that now as a wide perspective on the whole country. I can see the players, more and more of them, smartening up to say that, hey, this season is gone. I know television is important, the contracts are important, the money is important, but all of that doesn't matter if you're not alive. And I think they're going to say more and more so, there's going to be more and more players that are going to drop out, and they're going to take a year off.
Yeah, I think this is just the first domino to drop. and obviously players are going to have to start reporting, I think, really, really soon. So, guys, it's been a really great broadcast. So with that said, okay, Mike, now is an opportunity to go ahead and you promote your book again. Go for it.
Yes, a new book is called The Umpire's Bunkhouse, and it's about a bunch of snippets of information of all these guys from all over the country that come to play, and it's about my life in Cooperstown 40 years ago. It's hard to believe 40 years ago gone by, but Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, all the big names are in the book, and pictures, and it's a really exciting thing. The best way to do it is to 55-2017 at gmail.com, and that's the best way to do it, and I'll be glad to sign a book for you or anything you need.
Why don't you go ahead and say that again? I don't know if you were cutting out, but we just want to make sure that you definitely get it out there again.
Sure. Mike Brown, 55-2017 at gmail.com. And I'll be glad to autograph a book for you.
All right. And any other way that they can contact you as well, Mike?
No, that's the best way to do it, and appreciate very much being on this show.
All right, Rick, go ahead and talk. Let people know how they get a hold of you, and then I'll wrap it up with my grocery list of ways to get a hold of us.
Okay, you can contact us on our website at www.charlottebats.com. My email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte MLB. Our fan page is Charlotte Bats Baseball. We're also on Instagram at Charlotte Bats. We're on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curti. You can contact me on any of those social media outlets.
Yeah, Rick Curti's a really big contributor as a social media advisor. He helps us get everything out there, and we're always appreciative. With that said, you are listening to 108 Stitches Baseball Talk here on the WSAN network. The way to get a hold of us is at Twitter, at Tribune South. That's the @ at Tribune South. Facebook, like our page, South Florida Tribune. Instagram, like our page there at South Florida Tribune. I have a YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune. Subscribe for free. Then you'll get all the videos that come out of here and what we do throughout. Our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You'll find a lot of good content from our media distribution partners as well as our columnists, and you can even find the broadcast there. Email us at floridatribune@gmail.com, and my LinkedIn account is Scott Morganroth. And again, if you want to look for these broadcasts, you can also locate them wherever you can find your podcast. So on behalf of Mike Brown, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Mad Mouth. Thank you for joining us tonight. Rick, any closing thoughts?
I just want everyone to be safe out there. Wash your hands, social distance. Please wear a mask, guys. If you go to a place and they have a sign that says wear a mask, please wear a mask. Just don't go in there and just, be like just reckless about it. Just wear a mask.
Yeah. So what is the COVID situation like up for you, Mike, in your part of the country in the Midwest in Ohio?
Well, it's bad. It's not good. And as a baseball fan, all my life, it hurts me to say there's not going to be baseball. But the cooler heads will prevail, as they say. And I think we've got to come to grips with it, and we've got to change the way we behave.
Yeah, it's funny how you say that because, too, throughout the day as I collect more and more information, as much as a lot of us want to feel like there's hopeful enthusiasm for it, I don't know. I mean, it's one thing whether we start the season, but will we actually finish it? How many games into this whole process do you think it'll be before, it's just not worth it anymore? Before we get off the air, why don't you go ahead and give me a rough idea, okay, how many games you would predict, Mike, before baseball does indeed shut down permanently?
I think they'll play less than 25 games before enough of the players have seen the light, and they'll come down with it. They come down with COVID-19. Heaven forbid someone dies. That would be a horrible thing, but that will shut it down for good.
Rick, give me a numerical prediction here.
Man, I don't even see any games, but I'll be optimistic. I'll give it 2 weeks, if that. And someone's going to get sick, and someone's going to get it's either a baseball player, or it'll be like the ball boy, or someone just like a fan or something like that. Something's going to happen. Someone's going to get exposed to this, and they're going to have to shut it down. So I'll be optimistic and give it 2 weeks.
All right, that works for me. So once again, on behalf of Mike Brown and Rick Curti, my name is Scott Morgan Roth of Motor City Mad Mouth. Thank you for joining us here on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk.